USC superstar JuJu Watkins finally addressed the record-breaking headlines, and her response was absolutely stunning. Today, we're analyzing exactly what JuJu said about those Caitlin Clark comparisons and why her reaction has basketball fans completely shocked. This is the interview moment that everyone is talking about, but nobody expected. And the basketball world is currently obsessed with two names: Caitlin Clark and Watkins. JuJu, these two extraordinary abilities have revolutionized women's collegiate basketball, attracting previously unheard-of levels of interest and enthusiasm. However, this is where things start to get interesting. The media has been attempting to create a competition between these two superstars for a long time. Their headlines continuously compare their styles, stats, and more recently...
Now, there's a lot of players in the country playing Division I basketball. Nobody scored more points in one game this year than you. That's the most.
That's crazy. Yeah. More to come for sure.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark who?
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Much respect there.
But is there any substance to this supposed rivalry? Today, we're going to examine the true dynamics between these two basketball superstars.
If JuJu was allowed to come out in the draft, Fever they will regret that they took Caitlin Clark #1. Caitlin is great.
Yeah.
He's not JuJu. If they match up in a tournament, 1,000% JuJu's gonna pick her up full court.
You look at the way she's built, and you look at the way Caitlin Clark is built, I mean, she can take contact. She can play through contact. She has an adult body as a 18-year-old.
She's super athletic. She will pick her up full court. They're going to have to set a whole bunch of screens to get JuJu off her. And if she ever tries to guard JuJu, it's lunch meat.
Let's start by discussing USC freshman JuJu Watkins, whose scoring prowess this season has been nothing short of amazing. Her basketball IQ and court vision are incredible. I had the honor of seeing her play live, and I can assure you that the TV does not do her credit. Her ability to create her own shot, her explosiveness, and her footwork. We need to correct the record, since there has been a lot of talk about JuJu possibly breaking some of Caitlin Clark's scoring records, even though she is just 18 years old and playing with the poise and confidence of an experienced professional. Regarding these freshmen scoring records, there has actually been some misunderstanding. In an exclusive interview with Wnba media analyst Natalie Esquire, we finally got an answer to the question of how JuJu feels about all these comparisons and record talk. While I haven't always agreed with Natalie's opinions, I have to give credit where credit is due. Some reports claimed that JuJu broke Caitlin's freshman scoring mark, but we must acknowledge that Kelsey Mitchell actually holds some of these records as well. The statistics get complicated, but it's undeniable that JuJu is setting historic numbers for a freshman. Natalie questioned JuJu directly about surpassing Caitlin Clark's scoring totals and whether she cared about these record comparisons. Let's examine JuJu's response and its implications. JuJu's response was incredibly humble. She said, "No, not really. It's cool, though sometimes I'll see it and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even know that, but yeah, it's not something that I really pay attention to." This response speaks volumes about JuJu's character and focus. She's not consumed by the comparisons or the record chase. Instead, she's just focused on playing her game and helping her team win. This level of maturity from a freshman is extremely rare. What's even more impressive is the pressure JuJu faces when she enters USC as one of the most anticipated recruits in recent memory. The expectations were extremely high, and she hasn't just met, but exceeded them. Despite everything, she has maintained her composure and kept her attention on team success rather than individual accolades.
We have seen the narratives for the entire season. It started out with Paige Bueckers at the beginning of the season, where people in the media, a lot of people at some of these big networks, were saying that Paige Bueckers was the Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark. And then when it got to the second half of the season, and JuJu has been taking over, she's had a phenomenal second half of her sophomore season.
Interview 3. There is a stark difference between the athlete's perception of this situation and how the media presents it. Even while rivalries and record pursuits dominate the news, JuJu and Caitlin have demonstrated nothing but appreciation for one another's accomplishments. There is no animosity or trash talk. When asked about JuJu earlier this season, Caitlin had nothing but praise for her, calling her an incredible talent and saying she's great for women's basketball. To me, that doesn't sound like a rivalry. Rather, it sounds like mutual respect between two generational talents. These two exceptional athletes are excelling at the highest level of college basketball, and both players have gone out of their way to downplay any notion of a personal rivalry. This stage situation makes me think of what we frequently see in sports media. LeBron and Kobe, Brady and Manning, and now Caitlin and JuJu are examples of the desperate attempt to fabricate narratives and storylines where none exist. However, the truth is much simpler. These two amazing basketball players are simply playing at the same time. Let's now address another accusation that has been making the rounds online, that JuJu is a stat patter who scores points in garbage time. I have seen these remarks, and to be honest, they are absurd. JuJu is USC's main offensive option throughout the game, and her points come when the team needs them most. Sure, there was that one game where she stayed late and almost got hurt, which caused some people to take notice. But one incident doesn't create a pattern. The great majority of JuJu's work is produced during competitive gaming sessions. To claim otherwise would be to just not watch the games. JuJu's versatility is what really stands out about her game. Unlike some one-dimensional scorers, she can get buckets in multiple ways, shoot the three-pointer, put the ball on the floor, and get to the rim, post up smaller defenders, and have a deadly mid-range game. Her versatility makes her extremely difficult to defend, which is a major factor in her historically high scoring totals. According to what I've heard about JuJu off the court, she's equally impressive. Her basketball IQ is also exceptional for a player her age. She understands angles, timing, and spacing at a level that most seniors don't understand. She knows when to attack, when to facilitate, and when to let the game come to her. These are intrinsic skills that set good players apart from great ones. I had the opportunity to meet her mother, and it's evident that JuJu hails from a morally upright household. She was brought up with a work ethic, humility, and regard for other people. Her interviews and interactions with teammates, coaches, and fans demonstrate these attributes. Both players have been thrown into the national spotlight in a way that few collegiate athletes experience, and JuJu's demeanor reminds me a lot of Caitlin Clark's handling of the spotlight. When you watch their games, you can see some intriguing similarities between Caitlin and JuJu. Both are courageous, and they have handled the strain and criticism with poise and grace that belies their age. Shooters with remarkable court vision and playmaking skills who can score from wherever on the court have helped their respective programs reach new heights. Their styles are where they diverge most. Caitlin has an infinite range and is more of a pure point guard, even though JuJu is a more versatile scorer who can play a variety of positions. Looking ahead, the future of women's basketball couldn't be brighter with these two stars leading the way. Caitlin is going to the Wnba next season, but JuJu still has a few years left of college eligibility. By the time JuJu enters the Wnba, which is likely to be the #1 pick in 2027, Caitlin will be an established pro, and we'll finally get to see them compete head-to-head. This is what makes the whole story so pointless. There's no reason to pit these players against one another when they're on different journeys at different stages of their careers and are on different journeys. The comparison doesn't benefit either the players or the fans. The growth of both JuJu and Caitlin is what we should be celebrating, not the sport. Women's college basketball attendance records are being smashed, and television ratings are at an all-time high. The women's game has seen an explosion in social media engagement. This is the true story of how these gifted players are enhancing. Women's basketball is becoming more and more popular. The tremendous pressure both players endure as the public faces their programs at every game is another factor that is frequently forgotten in these discussions. The mental toughness needed to perform at an elite level under such scrutiny is astounding, and both JuJu and Caitlin have demonstrated that they possess the psychological makeup to succeed. This leads me to another topic that has been discussed recently: the GOAT debate in women's college basketball. In this contentious segment, analysts argued whether Caitlin Clark could be regarded as one of the greatest players of all time without winning a national championship. This kind of simplistic thinking completely misses the point. Regardless of championship hardware, Caitlin and JuJu are already leaving their stamp on basketball history. Basketball brilliance isn't only about winning titles. It's also about impact statistical excellence, elevating your teammates' game, and improving the game itself. JuJu's rookie campaign is also intriguing since, when it comes to freshman scoring, it compares not only to Caitlin's freshman year, but also to other all-time greats. Seasons traditionally, names like Cheryl Miller and Maya Morchimi Holds Club are mentioned. JuJu is already in this rarefied air, which attests to her extraordinary talent. The coaching staffs of both players should also be given a great deal of credit. Lindsay Gottel of USC has established a space where JuJu can flourish while also improving her craft in a similar way. Lisa Bleer of Iowa created an offensive that made the most of Caitlin's special abilities. Looking more closely at their playing styles, Ju and Caitlin have both benefited from superb instruction. Great players require great coaches. JuJu's style of play actually makes me think of a younger Kobe Bryant because of her footwork, mid-range game, competitive fire, killer instinct, and drive for excellence. In contrast, Caitlin has frequently been compared to Steph Curry due to her unrestricted shooting range and willingness to shoot from anywhere on the court. These are lofty comparisons, but when you watch them play, it doesn't seem unrealistic. One area in which both players excel is their ability to perform at their best under pressure. Whether it's hitting game-winning baskets, making clutch plays in the closing seconds, or leading their teams in tournament games, Caitlin and JuJu have demonstrated this trait time and time again. Their work ethic is also legendary, and their coaches and teammates frequently comment on how they're the first ones in the gym and the last ones to leave. What sets decent players apart from great ones is their commitment to craft, and both Caitlin and JuJu have demonstrated an unusual level of dedication to honing their trade. The fact that we're probably just beginning to see what these players can achieve is maybe the most thrilling aspect. JuJu is just starting college, and Caitlin is ready to embark on her professional career. Both have extremely high ceilings, and basketball fans should feel really lucky to watch their careers take shape. It's also important to note how both players have dealt with hardship. No season is flawless, and they have both encountered difficulties, such as difficult defeats, shooting sluggishness, or opposition defenses. Their fortitude in these situations demonstrates their moral fiber and mental toughness. Young girls nationwide are being impacted by these two athletes in ways that go well beyond the court. Basketballs because they aspire to be like Caitlin or JuJu. They are inspiring the next generation, generating new basketball fans, and altering the way that people view women's sports. This cultural impact may end up being their most significant legacy. When we look back years from now, I think we'll recognize this time as a turning point for women's basketball. The Caitlin Clark era and the rise of JuJu Watkins have created a perfect storm of talent, personality, and visibility that has propelled the women's game into the mainstream. Instead of creating a rivalry or imposing comparisons, let's honor these two once-in-a-generation talents who are creating history in their own special ways. JuJu Watkins can be amazing without breaking Caitlin Clark's records. Caitlin is authoring their own stories and leaving their own legacies, so they don't need to be compared to people who came before or behind them all the time. Which reminds us of the interview in which JuJu discussed the analogies. The fact that she casually dismissed the records wasn't an attempt to disparage Caitlin Innan. Rather, it was an honest acknowledgement that she is focused on playing her game and not pursuing the achievements of others. This is the mindset of a true competitor, who is motivated by internal standards rather than external benchmarks. JuJu's response to the query demonstrated maturity. Beyond her years, she humbled herself and expressed genuine astonishment that she was achieving these feats. Yes, oh wow, I didn't even know that. She then returned her attention to what really counts, which is to keep improving and helping her team win. This response explains exactly why basketball fans should be excited about JuJu Watkins. She has the talent to be historically great, but more importantly, she has the mindset and character to maximize that talent. She is staying grounded and focused on the process rather than getting caught up in the hype or comparisons. As for the basketball itself, Watching JuJu play is amazing because of her unique combination of size, skill, and basketball IQ, which is uncommon for any player, let alone a freshman. She moves fluidly, creates separation effortlessly, and has a natural feel for the game that cannot be taught. These are the same attributes that have made Caitlin Clark so successful over the last 4 years. What does the future hold? If I had to make a prediction, I would say both players will continue to break records and expectations. JuJu will continue to grow at USC and possibly lead them to championship contention before making her own WNBA debut. Caitlin will probably have an immediate impact on the WNBA with her exciting style of play. And yes, one day they will face each other on a WNBA court. That matchup will be on CTV, not because of any manufactured rivalry, but because it will feature two of the most talented basketball players of their generation competing at the highest level. That's the matchup we should be looking forward to, not some fabricated comparison of their scoring records while they are in completely different stages of their careers. Fans of basketball, JuJu's direct response demonstrates why she is not only a class act off the court, but also a superstar on it. Despite the media's attempts to create drama, these two extraordinary talents are only interested in being the best. This is your host saying goodbye. If you like this breakdown, please hit the like button and subscribe buttons to join our basketball community for more exclusive content and analysis. Don't forget to enable notifications so you don't miss our next video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on JuJu's remarks and this alleged rivalry in the comment section below. I'll see you at the next one, Nas.